Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, over the past few weeks actually, there's been a lot of new information on the new Walking with Dinosaurs series, like a lot of new stuff, and I haven't seen many people talking about it, except for like whenever a new trailer thing drop or like comes out, and actually there's actually 3 new trailers that came out the other day, and we're doing a breakdown of those alongside the new clip that came out. We're also going to do a breakdown of that. Alongside, we're also going to be talking about a bunch of new images and information that come out for the series, and we're just going to go through a bunch of it. This is probably not even everything, and I'll probably do like a follow-up, like a proper, like actually everything we know about this series video. But yeah, also when we get to the images, I want to mention that this is basically just the dinosaur images, because there's a lot of other like behind the scenes images and images of like actual dig sites and stuff, but I mainly just got the images for the dinosaurs. So yeah, anyways, let's start with the first part, which is we're going to be breaking down this new clip we got for the series, which basically starts off with a T-Rex walking through the forest, before we get to see its face, which the new Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex looks amazing. I know a lot of people are like, it's not as good as the Prehistoric Planet one, which honestly I agree, but at the same time I still think this is an amazing T-Rex, and I think it's its own unique, really good design. Anyways, we see it stalking around some more as we see Clover, I believe it is. If I call this baby Triceratops Tulip, forgive me because I keep on forgetting. I think it's actually Clover though. Anyways, you know, Clover is kind of just hiding in the bush while the T-Rex is stalking through the forest. Then we have this pterosaur, which, here's the thing with this pterosaur. A lot of people are like, this is Infernodraken, and I was like, I don't think it's Infernodraken, because, like, okay, I thought it could definitely be Infernodraken, just I didn't really think it was Infernodraken, since it was just described pretty recently, this year, actually, and also it looked a bit big for Infernodraken, so, I was like, it can't be Infernodraken. But we did get a new article confirming, well, it didn't confirm but this definitely is Infernodraken. Basically, it confirmed that that Infernodraken is going to appear in this series, and Infernodraken appears in this formation, and this pterosaur is similar in size to Infernodraken, so probably say about the same size, probably on the larger size of size estimates for Infernodraken. So, even though they don't specifically say it's Infernodraken in this clip, it's Infernodraken. I apologize to everyone. I was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to be Infernodraken, because, yeah, it definitely is Infernodraken. Anyways, moving on to the next slide, we can see the T-Rex kind of creeping up behind it. It's time to talk about T-Rex's specialized, kind of special way that T-Rex walks, as the Infernodraken actually looks like it's kind of tending to a nest, which we'll talk about that more in a second, because if you remember, like in the trailer, there's a scene of Tulip kind of walking over here, and then I keep wanting to call it Quetzalcoatlus, the Infernodraken kind of spreading its wings and trying to be aggressive towards it. I'm guessing it's because, I thought it was hunting Tulip, but I think it's probably because Tulip was getting too close to her nest. So, yeah. Anyways, the T-Rex keeps on creeping up. Before we have this scene of just the T-Rex standing right behind the Infernodraken before, well, there goes the Infernodraken. This thing is actually massive. You can see the Tyrannosaur actually holding it. Honestly, I guess this is payback for the Quetzalcoatlus, is what they did to T-Rex Prehistoric Planet. Anyways, you can see the T-Rex design more, which I think it looks amazing. I still think it's a great T-Rex design. I know a lot of people were talking about the visuals, how they don't really like the visuals for this series, or saying that they're not that good, which, yeah, they're not the same quality as Prehistoric Planet and like the Jurassic franchise, but those have a way higher budget, and for the budget that it has, I still think these are actually really good visuals. And honestly, they don't bother me too much, though. Granted, I honestly, at this point, I don't think I can even tell the difference between good and bad anymore, because I've been forced to look at Rebirth stuff. Okay, jokes aside, I'm not going to trash on Rebirth a bunch, but Titanosaurus has fried my retinas. Anyways, we have Tulip kind of walking T-Rex while it walks away, and then Tulip kind of looking towards the camera before walking into the forest. So that was the kind of new clip we got. A few other things I want to talk about the clip is, again, this series, personally to me, still looks like it's going to be an amazing documentary, just personally not Walking with Dinosaurs. The narration is obvious. Like, I really don't know why they didn't get the original narrator. It's just, there's just a way the Walking with the Dinosaurs narrator kind of narrated things that it just made the series feel, I don't know how to explain it, more harsh. Like, when something would happen, it was like, I don't know, just, it was a good way of wording it, and also just a good voice. I just wish they would have reused that again. The new voice actor I don't think is bad, just, I don't know why he sounds like a more English version of the narrator from Tarbosaurus, the Mightiest Ever. I don't know why, but it kind of sounds like that to me. But anyways, another thing someone mentioned is the music just isn't the same, which is a big shame. It's one thing that like the Walker franchise did like perfectly. They had like the best soundtrack ever known to man. At least to me, that's what it sounds like. It's absolutely amazing. And unfortunately, It seems that we're not getting a really good soundtrack in this one. Honestly, I hope that they have at least some good songs, because Life on Our Planet's music was not the best, and Prehistoric Planets also sucked. In fact, okay, kind of a side tangent. Prehistoric Planet, yes, it had great visuals. Yes, it was a great documentary. Yes, it had the best dinosaurs ever. But the music was not the best. Like, I think the music was good for the scenes, but like, there's only one song from the entirety of Prehistoric Planet that I ever listened to outside of like when I watched the original series. I literally tried going back to listen to some of the other songs and just don't really care for any of them. Like, they work as background music for the scenes, just they're not really listenable over and over again like the Walking With ones. The only one for Prehistoric Planet I even like listening back to is World of Ammonites. Otherwise, the rest of them I just don't really care for. World of Ammonites, it's not even like a high-paced song. It's kind of just a really reaction song. Trust me, I recommend listening to it. Anyways, I really do hope that maybe the scene they just didn't have any music that was too interesting. Hopefully we get some good ones. Anyways, next we have the teasers. So pretty much we got these 30-second, well, 2 of them are 30-second, one's 20-second teasers for a few of the episodes. We didn't get them for all 6. We only got them for half of them, and you would expect it to be episode 1, 2, and 3, but it's actually episode 1, 3, and 4. So the episode focusing on Clover the Triceratops, the episode focusing on George the Gastonia, and the episode focused on Rose the Albertosaurus. So yeah, this is the first one, and this is the one for Clover. So it starts off with Clover walking by. And this one I'm going to go through kind of quick because it shares a lot of same scenes with the teaser that we just, that like the new clip we got. I'm just going to kind of talk about the new stuff again, walking by, talk about how she's an orphan. You can kind of see the nest in this scene way better. Clover really close to it, and you can see the Inferno Draken kind of defending it. I think this is its nest. Or it's a nest that it's trying to eat. We'll get back to that in a minute, but I believe this is its nest it's trying to protect. Then Clover walking away. Another scene of Clover kind of just by. I think the T-Rex, we see a fight between T-Rex and Triceratops, and I don't know if the Triceratops is either Clover as an adult, which there could be an issue with that, due to another article, which we'll probably talk about later, but actually I might as well bring it up here now. They talk about how they found Clover's fossils, and Clover did die as a juvenile, so I don't know if they're going to have Clover as if it's going to be originally based off that but not be like perfectly identical to that, or if it is going to follow that, and we're just going to either stop following Clover before or we're just going to go back to old Walking With fashion and the babies are not spared. Don't know. But either way, I don't know if that's supposed to be. If they are doing that, then it might have been Clover's mother that was fighting the T-Rex. Otherwise, it might have been Clover as an adult that the T-Rex is fighting. Anyways, Clover got orphaned somehow, and pretty much this episode is going to be about following her. Then we have the T-Rex roaring at a group of Albertosaurus, which someone mentioned that they had Regalis in the wrong formation, which I think that this is actually supposed to be Anectons, and they just decided to put the crest on the males, just probably for speculation. So yes, there's no evidence for it in Anectons, but for Regalis, the evidence is soft tissue. So maybe they just were doing some speculation. I don't really know, but anyways, the Albertosaurus design is personally not my favorite. They're actually like easily my least favorite design in this documentary. The only one I don't really like. I think their colors are kind of bland, and then also just they look weird. The models look really lumpy. Not my favorite design. But anyways, we kind of see them fighting back, which I don't know. A lot of people are saying we finally have an Albertosaurus fighting back, but not much. It's fighting back a bit, but we'll talk about that more. Then we have the Inferno Draken flying. Then we have this scene. This scene bothers me because this has a lot of inaccuracies at least from what I can tell. Pretty much first thing it has the Albertosaurus is running, which first issue they're running on all fours, which if you didn't know, Hadrosaurs would have basically gotten up on their hind legs and would have been bipedal whenever running. So running on their all fours just doesn't make much sense. And another thing is they just leap over this log, which I don't know how likely that would be for an Albertosaurus. But considering they ran on their hind legs, and I don't know if their legs would even be able to support like a 8 to 15, actually I don't know how big Albertosaurus is. I know it's similar in size to T-Rex, so probably like around 10 tons, a little bit less, a little bit more. Ton animal. Being able to leap over a log and land on its front limbs without shattering them, I don't know how likely that is. That might be a bit of a stretch. Anyways, we have Clover walking through a clearing and then kind of nuzzling the baby Albertosaurus, which I actually like the baby Albertosaurus designs. I just don't like the adults. The baby ones look good though. Then we have the T-Rex walking through the forest kind of at night, and it kind of looks like it's chasing Clover because Clover's kind of running through here. You can see Clover dashing through the forest. Then we have the eye of I originally thought this was the T-Rex, but I'm actually kind of looking at it, and you can kind of see in the back the face kind of flays out a little bit, so I'm guessing that's like the frill, and you can kind of see like the beginning of a horn kind of around the eye, so I think this is actually a Triceratops. possibly Clover, or the mother Triceratops. Anyways, we have the T-Rex roaring again. Then we have the Triceratops design, which I need to see more because I don't really know how much I like this. Like, I think I do like the design though. I think they could have did a little bit more. That maybe like if they wanted to make it more different from like the prehistoric planet one in general, or actually I can't. Did the prehistoric planet one have quills? I can't remember. Honestly, quills could have been nice, but honestly, at the very least, give it longer legs. Like the longer horns could have also been interesting. Though I think the frill design is interesting. I originally didn't like it with the big scales, but it's kind of grown on me a bit. But I still need to see this Triceratops some more. Anyways, you can see it kind of stabbing into the leg of the T-Rex. And that is pretty much it. That is all we have for the first teaser. Now for the second one. That first one wasn't too interesting since again that's mostly just basically just the teaser, like that teaser clip alongside the first trailer's worth of clips from that episode. Nothing really new. Anyways, on to the next one for episode 3 if I remember correctly. Yeah, episode 3, the Gastonia episode. So first it starts off with a whole entire group of Gastonia. You can see the one we're following is George. Also, I forgot to mention the first episode is called The Orphan. This episode is called the I cannot remember. If I remember in editing, I'll put it up on the screen. But anyways, you can see them kind of walking towards watering hole. You can still see the armored younglings. Then we get to see the Utah raptor in this wonderful scene with good lighting. Again, I'm sorry that the visuals in this video are not the best. They're a little bit blurry because I don't know why I didn't even think to try turning up the graphics on PBS where I found these videos up so that they were in HD quality. Instead, I just recorded them or whatever quality they were. I apologize for that. I didn't even think of that as a possibility for some reason until literally like after I completely made the slides for this video and uploaded the trailers. So again, I apologize for that, but like if you look up online or if I'm able to do it, I know there are some images of this scene in like HD and it looks really nice. Then we have the Utah raptor kind of kicking at the Gastonia, which looks really good. Honestly, I think like the Utah raptor and the Gastonia are both two creatures that I really just love the design of. Also, another thing I know I'm rambling on a lot about not the actual episode and like breaking this down, but something I've noticed is though yes we're following one individual, we're kind of following two species. One is like kind of the main one, and then the other one is another animal that the main animal interacts with a lot. In the first episode, it's focused on Clover, but T-Rex has a big presence in the episode, also being featured on a lot. This episode, it's George and the Gastonias that are being focused on, and we're also heavily focusing on Utah raptor. In the Albertosaurus episode, I will talk about that more. It's actually Albertosaurus. Of course, we're focusing on Albertosaurus. A little bit spoilers. Named Rose, and then I think we're also going to be focusing on another ceratopsian, a Rhinoceratops, which again that's another new species that's revealed by these teasers, which we'll talk about more then. And then the Spinosaurus episode, we haven't really seen much. That it could be the alternative. I'm hoping and kind of guessing it's Carcharodontosaurus, but we've barely seen Carcharodontosaurus. We've actually only seen it in the background, kind of blurry so far. But I'm guessing that might be the alternate thing we're focusing on, which would be really cool. Yeah, I know another thing from one of the articles I read that they're kind of talking about in the Kim formation how there's so many different predators. So maybe they're focusing on two predators there. So yeah. Anyways, in the Lucititan episode, it seems we're following Lucititan and another dinosaur, a theropod, which I've already spoiled too much. I'll save that dinosaur for there because I don't want to spoil it already. Let's see. And then in the Pachyrhinosaurus episode, I think we're actually following Albertosaurus again in that episode as the alternate, which sucks. That whole entire episode I feel like is a waste of time, but yeah. Anyways, we'll talk about those more there. I want to try to stop just rambling on ramble stuff. We're going to try to actually stick on this. Anyways, pretty much, Band of Brothers, that's I think what this episode's called. Anyways, it's basically focusing on juvenile Gastonia, like a whole group of juvenile Gastonia trying to fend for each other. And again, we see the Utah raptor, which looks amazing. See a close-up of the Gastonia, which are one of my new favorite dinosaurs in this documentary. You can kind of see them rambling heads. Kind of, again, pushing against each other. I think the colors on this one are really nice. They're like subtle brown colors, but at the same time kind of orangey yellow striping. In fact, I feel like these colors would be something that PNSO would do on their figures, but yeah, again, you can see them from the top. They're just really good designs. The Utah raptors are absolutely amazing. Most of the dinosaurs I really wanted to see their original Walking with Dinosaurs colors on them. The Utah raptor is the only exception in which I think the new color scheme is better than the old one, at least on these new models. Anyways, we have the Gastonia walking through the forest, and then we have a forest fire from above where you can see the Gastonias trying to get out of the forest. It's the whole group, and then we also have the Utahraptors running through it where a branch falls and almost hits one of them. Then we have a scene of one of the Gastonia, possibly George, on its back while the Utahraptors are surrounding it. So let's see. I feel bad, but I do believe that scene of the Utahraptor, which we'll go over here, we see the Utahraptor just giving a jump scare real fast, basically gets whacked in the face by the tail of one, and okay, maybe that isn't, I don't know why, but kind of looked like it's the upside down tail before, but now I'm looking at it, I think it is just another Gastonia. But anyways, that is pretty much all for that episode. Now on to the next one, which is episode 4. Starting off with the teaser, we see the eye of the Albertosaurus. And the Albertosaurus is a juvenile named, well, a subadult, I think, or like a teenager. I can't remember exactly how they phrased the Albertosaurus named Rose. And pretty much you can see this person, Rose, walking towards some sort of ceratopsian. And you can see, yeah, as a teenager, Rose just kind of starts running towards it. And we see this new ceratopsian, which when I first saw this, I was like, are they having Triceratops? I saw it kind of fighting with it, kind of couldn't see well. Then I saw it more, and I was like, wait, is that Torosaurus actually? And then, I actually looked. Like, it looked a little bit off for both of those. It's like, I thought it was a Torosaurus for a minute until I actually did some more, like, looking into it. And apparently it's a Rhinoceratops, which is really nice to see a new Ceratopsian that has not appeared in, basically has not appeared in any dinosaur. It has not appeared in any dinosaur film media, and the only piece of dinosaur media, like, that has really appeared in is Dinosaur King in the arcade. And and I believe that appearance is not only is it inaccurate, but it's also on top of that outdated more. So yes, it never appeared in the anime. It's one of the species that don't appear in the anime. So we never even got to see this guy really on screen. But now we do, and its design is amazing. I think this is my favorite Ceratopsian in the series. I think it looks a little bit better than the other ones. I like it more than Triceratops. Anyways, yeah, we can see kind of roaring at the Albertosaurus. The Albertosaurus roaring back. Also, if I go back to this scene, I actually went to the next slide. I thought right here was like one of the side horns, like kind of the side spikes on the frill of Pachyrhinosaurus, but now I can see that it's actually the horn, like the brow horn of the Rhinoceratops. Anyways, we have the group of Albertosaurus walking together, and we can see them kind of looking down towards a herd of Edmontosaurus, which I noticed this, and I know I got another comment of someone noticing that this episode has very similar vibes to Daz's little hunt from Planet Dinosaur. And it basically is just that, and and if you don't know, that episode ended off with the group of Daspletosaurus getting killed by like pyroclastic flow or something like that, if I remember correctly. And from the description of this episode, I heard pretty much basically some volcanic things going on caused the Edmontosauruses to migrate later than usual. So let's hope that the Albertosaurus doesn't have the same fate as the Daspletosaurus from Planet Dinosaur. Anyways, we have the Edmontosaurus again, probably Regalis, and then we have the Gorgosaurus. Okay, I apologize if I call this Gorgosaurus because I'm just used to Gorgosaurus being here instead of Albertosaurus. But anyways, the Albertosaurus grabbing onto it as dark its leg, but this is not the Infernodrake, and it looks different. And I don't think it's supposed to be any specific Asdarchid. Like, the only one I can think of from kind of north is Cryodraken, and I don't know if that one actually lived here. I think it is just supposed to be a random Asdarchid, since another thing that I saw mentioned was that at the dig site where they found the Albertosaurus, they found an Asdarchid leg bone, or just like a random Asdarchid bone, and they are really excited about finding that since pterosaur bones are pretty rare. So I'm guessing this is supposed to just be a random pterosaur leg, or just a random random Asdarchid pterosaur species. Anyways, Rose, or at least one of the Albertosaurus, grabs onto its leg. Then we have the Rhinoceratops again looking amazing. Then we have the Albertosaurus lunging at the Edmontosaurus and kind of slamming into the side of its body. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Not too much. Honestly, that one's probably the most exciting since it had new species and also the most new scenes. But yeah, I hope we get ones for the other one, especially the Spinosaurus episodes, and I want to see Carcharodontosaurus. So yeah. Now we're going to move on to a bunch of new images. I'm going to try to link the sources to a lot of these in the description. I don't know if I'll be able to get every single one, but I'll try for a lot of them. I'll try to get the sources for them. But anyways, we have this image of the Gastonia defending itself from the Utahraptor, which the Utahraptor looks amazing. The colorations and just design looks good. I love the Gastonia as well, and just the scenery looks amazing. This is just justice for Jurassic Fight Club. Anyways, here's a better HD image of the Rhinoceratops and Albertosaurus. Another one of the Rhinoceratops, just a better quality. Here's one of the Pachyrhinosaurus. Again, the Pachyrhinosaurus design, I originally really didn't like it because the colorations were really bland. I thought it was a good design just with bad colorations. But now seeing it, I do like the colorations a bit more. I still think this episode's a waste because they're just like slightly, like ever so slightly more accurate versions of the ones from Walking with Dinosaurs 2013, and that is already kind of more accurate. Like, of course, there's some inaccuracies with it, but generally, I don't think it's outdated enough that we really was necessary for us to come back and focus on Pachyrhinosaurus again, especially since I feel like the Albertosaurus episode covered that enough if they wanted to do a revisited episode to this area. Instead, we could have gone on a Triassic episode or another Jurassic episode instead of getting another Cretaceous episode, not only on a place that we already visited 1,000 times here and already visited 1,000 times in other dinosaur documentaries. Again, feel like it's a wasted slot, and honestly don't really know what this episode is going to do to make it really interesting, because the Albertosaurus episode I already am actually excited for now, since we have, not only, again, we're focused on Albertosaurus, we're also seeing new dinosaurs and things, and, just, again, there's a lot of new things that make it worthwhile. What is this Pachyrhinosaurus episode offering? Anyways, now we have this image of the T-Rex roaring at the Triceratops, which the T-Rex, you can really see the colors and it looks really nice. Then we have the Infernodraken, again, holding up an egg, which, again, I don't know if it's eating the egg or if it's just moving one of its own eggs. Kind of hard to tell, but, yeah. Also, you can kind of see the tongue, and it looks kind of, if you look up penguin tongue, it kind of looks like that, and it's kind of freaky, but at the same time, kind of cool. Anyways, we have the Utah Raptors in a group, which I thought the two on the right were juveniles, but from what I can tell, they're actually not. They're just adults. They're just kind of further back. The perspective makes them look off. But anyways, the scene of the Pachyrhinosaurus is kind of standing by a cliff. Then we have the T-Rex again, which again, I'm really starting to like these colors. I don't think they're anything too crazy, but I do think that they're just really nice. I do still wish we would have gotten the original Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex colors on here, since I think, like, if you replaced most of the reds on the top of the body with, like, gray, like, black, and then kind of kept the brownish gray ones, this could basically just be the Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex colorations, but unfortunately, it's not. This is one where I think the original colorations would have really aided the design. Anyways, we have the Spinosaurus, which this is the amazing image, which this one I believe is from an interview, which this interview had a lot of stuff in it, and I definitely recommend checking this out. Definitely link this one in the description. This is like basically kind of like a behind the scenes interview and a lot of other things about the series. And if you really are interested in Walking with Dinosaurs 2025, it's a 100% definite like requirement to watch this. It has a lot of new information. Anyways, we have an image of the Triceratops, which this is the one that really got me to look at it, and looks really nice. And also, the more that I'm looking at this, the more and more I'm starting to think the Rhinoceratops might be a reuse of this model, just edited. Because the body looks like the exact same, the frill, like if you were to just change the shape of the frill, it basically is the same. The brow horns would just need to be pointed forward, the nose horn would just need to be pointed down, and you basically have the Rhinoceratops model. I still think I prefer the Rhinoceratops more, but yeah, anyways, we have the Pachyrhinosaurus kind of standing by its nest, which it's been confirmed. I know a lot of people were talking about practical effects and stuff, and this is pretty much, from what I heard, pretty much the only ones they're using, only practical effects they're using are the eggs, and also practical effects, kind of like, you know, just like random objects that are kind of used that are going to be edited over with CGI just to kind of have the scenery moved, which is a shame. No animatronics especially, it's a shame. I really was hoping we'd get some in Prehistoric Planet. We didn't get any there. We're not getting any here. Again, just doesn't quite feel like Walking with Dinosaurs. Here's the only practical effect image I actually put in here, which is of the practical effect Spinosaurus head. Which, interestingly enough, this is basically just the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, which I find kind of funny, but, yeah. Now we have this one of Clover, kind of by a Triceratops, or an Infernodraken egg, I'm assuming, which is pretty interesting. And also you can see Clover from a new angle. Then we have the Albertosauruses, which look amazing. Definitely the best Albertosaurus in media. And that's kind of hard to say, just because I really love the Dino Dana, the movie Albertosaurus, and I think this might even be better than that. Still not as good as the BOTM figure, though. The BOTM Albertosaurus is just the best. Anyways, we have this image of the Albertosaurus roaring at the Pachyrhinosaurus, so I kind of doubt that they're going to put Pachyrhinosaurus again in the same episode as Albertosaurus. So, I mean, as in the Albertosaurus episode. So I'm thinking the Albertosaurus is going to be the alternate perspective, like the kind of secondary kind of creature they're going to be following in the Pachyrhinosaurus episode, which makes me ask again, why do we have this episode when we can't even fill it up with enough species? I could be wrong, but doesn't the Displetosaurus or Gorgosaurus live with these guys as well? If they do, then it would have been nice to see one of those guys here instead. Or even Nanukosaurus or something. I feel like there ought to be some sort of Tyrannosaur that also lived with Pachyrhinosaurus, just to give some more diversity at least. Really worried with the Pachyrhinosaurus episode, especially since in the order of these episodes, the Pachyrhinosaurus episode comes right after the Albertosaurus episode. So we're going to have the Albertosaurus episode with a bunch of new stuff, and then the Pachyrhinosaurus episode kind of with nothing. Though I'm really hoping there's a bunch of new species or just something that they just haven't revealed yet that is going to really make me change my mind. Otherwise, I just don't really see anything. Also, kind of random, the Albertosaurus' mouth, I don't know exactly what to call this. I'm just going to call it the Eofauna T-Rex mouth because the Eofauna figure is like the first depiction I've really seen of it. And I really don't like the Eofauna figure. I'm not a big fan of that mouth depiction. But it worked on the Walking with Dinosaurs T-Rex. Not my favorite, but I did actually kind of like it on there. And I think it looks so much better on the Albertosaurus. I think it works just so much better on it. And like I actually kind of like it on the Albertosaurus. Anyways, couldn't find this image anywhere else. This is the thumbnail for the interview, which again, I'll link that in the description. You can see the Albertosaurus again. This one has more like a blue pattern on its face. Now we have some promo images for it. First, we have one of George the Gastonia walking through the fire, and this model just looks amazing. Then next, we have one of the Spinosaurus kind of swimming through the water, which also looks really cool. Also, I'm guessing the Spinosaurus episode is kind of going to double as an aquatic episode, so they kind of have an aquatic episode. Again, I think like some sort of pterosaur episode could have worked instead of the Pachyrhinosaurus episode, or just again like a early to mid Jurassic episode, or even a Triassic episode, which just works so much better. Then we have Clover the Triceratops, the Pachyrhinosaurus, which I don't even remember this one's name. We're just gonna call him Patchy because let's be honest, that's what he is. And then we have the Lucititan, which looks, okay, I also can't remember the name, but the Lucititan is one that like every single time I see, I go back and forth between. Like, thinking it looks nice and thinking it kind of is just a bit generic. But yeah, I don't know. I think like the more detail you see on it, the better it looks. And then we also have Rose the Albertosaurus, which looks absolutely amazing. Then here's the Radio Time magazine, which just reused these images. Just want to go through them quick. Pachyrhinosaurus, Albertosaurus, Spinosaurus, Lucititan. Now here are actually like the title cards, or like not the title cards, like I don't know, the episode cards for each episode. So first we have the Orphan, which again reused these images, but they're kind of expanded a little bit. So we have the Orphan, the River Dragon. Also, I put these in chronological in the order of the episode. So the Orphan's episode 1, the River Dragon's episode 2, episode 3, Band of Brothers, episode 4, the Pack, episode 5, the Journey North, which I think I also saw another alternate name, but it was only on one article. Everywhere else it's labeled as the Journey North, even here, so I'm pretty sure it's just the Journey North, which we're doing migration again. This is just the 2013 movie. And then we had Island of Giants, which also we're going to loop back around this in a minute, but pretty much they said that Island of Giants is kind of going to have a lot of homages to episode Cruel Sea, which I'm really interested to see. Well, you kind of see what I did there. Anyways, it would be cool. Again, I have a dinosaur that could be the alternate creature that kind of followed in this. But honestly, I think I prefer it to be a marine reptile, and it might actually be a marine reptile, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, I literally just recorded more like audio for some of the new images that just revealed 2 new dinosaurs, and then I found even more images. So, one from the episode Island of Giants, if I remember correctly. It is the episode with the Lucititan. And you can see 2 theropods, which are most likely Torvosaurus. Which, honestly, we can't see their designs too much. And they look pretty nice. I need to see them a bit more. I don't know how I'm feeling about the color scheme, but I do think that they look pretty good. And honestly, can't wait to see them even more. Then we also got quite a few new images of the Spinosaurus. One, you can kind of see the baby more closer up, and you also can kind of see the side view of the Spinosaurus a bit more. Another one, you can see the Spinosaurus carrying its babies around. And then this last one, you can kind of see the Spinosaurus with, again, the babies kind of just standing around it. So yeah, we also have this last image, which is just another new image of the Spinosaurus. And yeah, it's amazing that we have so many new images. Hopefully this is everything. And also the series releases this Sunday. At least the first episode debuts this Sunday in the UK though. In the US, I think we still have quite a bit more before we get to that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. On to the next part. Okay, I had to throw this in since I didn't even find out about this until I was like actually editing this video. But there were 2 leaked images for the new Walking with Dinosaurs series that revealed 2 new dinosaurs. First one's from the episode Band of Brothers, and that is a dinosaur called Planocoxia, which I'm guessing is kind of replacing Decododon. And yeah, honestly, its design looks really nice. I think the subtle color variation just looks really good. And yeah, it's a new species that I don't think has appeared in really anything. So yeah, it's really cool to see this. The next image is the one I'm super excited for. This is from the episode River Dragons, and it's the Carcharodontosaurus. Finally, we kind of get to see what this thing looks like, and it is absolutely stunning. Easily my favorite dinosaur design in this documentary so far. And thankfully they're doing Carcharodontosaurus justice, and from what I've heard, this is going to basically be a big threat to the main Spinosaurus and its children, so hopefully Carcharodontosaurus gets a big role in this. And also, again, with my kind of theory that each episode kind of has, of course, the main person that the main dinosaur that you're following, alongside a secondary one that is going to be kind of focused on as well. I'm really hoping Carcharodontosaurus is that secondary dinosaur, since, again, Carcharodontosaurus just doesn't get many appearances in paleomedia, and this is easily the best and most beautiful depiction of this animal. And, yeah, those were the two images. Don't know where I'm going to put this in, but, anyways, I will see you guys in the next part of the video. Now, we're going to be moving on to, okay, now I have a few, there's descriptions of the episodes, and they're kind of this article that has descriptions of each episode alongside some extra information, and I'm just going to play some audio recordings of these articles for each episode. So I'm going to be not really talking for a minute, this is going to be a while, just listen to these. I definitely recommend listening to them. They give a lot of good information. I'll put a timestamp on the screen, so if you don't want to just listen through all of those, but I 100% recommend listening through all of those. And there's a lot of good information I'm not going to mention here. I'm just talking about basically the new dinosaurs and stuff that are from it. So, yeah, enjoy.
Episode 1, The Orphan in Laramidia, a lush, subtropical landscape 66 million years ago. We meet Clover, an orphaned baby Triceratops. Alone and vulnerable without a herd for protection, she's stalked by the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex. Today, paleontologists in Montana are uncovering her fossils, allowing us to imagine Clover's life and the dangers she faced. Through stunning VFX, we recreate her dangerous encounters and bring her fight for survival vividly to life. Triceratops, Clover at 8 tons and nearly 9 meters in length. Triceratops was the largest and most iconic of the horned dinosaurs. With 2 1-meter-long horns over its eyes, and a giant bony frill behind its head, Triceratops was an imposing sight. Triceratops is thought by scientists to have evolved in tandem with Tyrannosaurus rex, an evolutionary arms race resulting in the ultimate predator and the ultimate defender. Clover was a baby Triceratops, thought to only be about 4 years old and the size of a large dog. She was found in the Hell Creek Formation in Montana, not far from the remains of a Tyrannosaurus rex. In this dangerous world of giants, Clover was in desperate need of a protector. Helen Thomas, executive producer, said, "The story of Clover is so fascinating because, like the whole series, it is based on the real finds from a unique dig site. In the case of Clover, finding the bones of a very young Triceratops is rare in itself, as so many ended up as lunch for the many predators roaming North America in the late Cretaceous. But Clover's story was something even more special. Close to her dig site, the team found remains of the most infamous predator of them all, T-Rex. Unearthing the bones of predator and prey so close together enabled us to reveal the latest science of these iconic species and tell their extraordinary stories." Episode 2, The River Dragon at the Edge of the Moroccan Sahara. An international team of paleontologists led by Dr. Nazar Ibrahim has uncovered the bones of one of the largest predatory dinosaurs that ever walked the earth, a Spinosaurus. A specimen that lived and died here 100 million years ago. Back then, land that is desert today was a vast river system, supporting acres of scrub and forest. And far from being a monster, Sobek, the Spinosaurus we meet in this episode, is a new dad. Like some species of modern bird, it's thought that once the eggs are laid, the job of looking after the babies falls to the male. Sobek and his young family live on the banks of a nursery pool, because bones found at the dig suggest Spinosaurus spent much of their time in the water. Although the pool offers relative safety for his family, Sobek knows they must leave their home and travel somewhere they can catch far more substantial food. But the journey won't be easy. Spinosaurus, Sobek bigger even than T-Rex, Spinosaurus was a giant predator unlike any other dinosaur, because it spent most of its time in the water. With a sail over 2 meters tall on its back, a paddle tail and webbed feet, this animal was perfectly adapted to live in the rivers and swamps of ancient Morocco. Spinosaurus lived in the Kem, an ancient ecosystem more dangerous than any other, with an abundance of predatory dinosaurs, over 7 species of crocodile, and hunting pterosaurs watching from above. Sobek was a young male Spinosaurus found in Morocco. Every year, he treks to a special stretch of river where enormous numbers of prehistoric sauskate fish gather. This time he will have to run the gauntlet of predators while protecting his young offspring to ensure their survival. Dr. Nazar Ibrahim, anatomist and paleontologist at the University of Portsmouth who features in this episode, said, "Spinosaurus is the most enigmatic and exciting dinosaur in the world right now. And we just have one skeleton of this spectacular, sail-backed, crocodile-snouted, and largely aquatic predator, hailing from an underexplored corner of the world, the Sahara. Resurrecting this dragon from deep time for an iconic series like Walking with Dinosaurs was obviously a very special experience for my research team. Unearthing this animal has been an incredible decade-long team effort, piecing together 100-million-year-old fossils, harnessing the power of digital anatomy, and braving sandstorms, snakes, scorpions, and much more. Most people are somewhat familiar with the dinosaurs we all grew up with, but in this spectacular Saharan adventure they are going to come face to face with a very different giant, longer than T. Rex, and a reminder that there is a lot we don't actually know about dinosaurs and that these creatures were a lot more diverse and adaptable than we previously gave them credit for. Episode 3: The Band of Brothers. In the heart of the Utah desert, a team of paleontologists led by Dr. Jim Kirkland and Dr. Josh Lively has uncovered the bones of one of the most heavily armored dinosaurs that ever walked the earth. A Gastonia that lived and died here 130 million years ago. George, a young Gastonia, must stay close to his parents for protection as they come face to face with a group of predatory Utahraptors, the heavyweight cousins of Velociraptor. The size of a grizzly bear, they are one of the most formidable predators that ever lived. Gastonia, George, the spikiest dinosaur known. Gastonia belongs to the group of armored dinosaurs known as ankylosaurs. Covered from head to toe in bony plates and osteoderms, these animals were well protected from predators. Gastonia was one of the few social armored dinosaurs known, being found in bone beds consisting of multiple young individuals. Scientists believe that these individuals were juveniles that grew up together, so they had safety in numbers. George was a juvenile Gastonia found in the Lorries Site Quarry, in the Cedar Mountain Formation. While George's cause of death is unknown, he was found alongside multiple other young Gastonia, indicating they were possibly living together. Growing up here, the youngsters would have to deal with the ever-present threat from predatory Utahraptor. Kirsty Wilson, series showrunner, said, "Band of Brothers is an emotional roller coaster of an episode. George the Gastonia might not be the fastest or biggest of all the dinosaurs, but this armored dino may be the spikiest to have ever lived, and he has to face one of deadly predators of all time. Utahraptor. Lots of people assume that the infamous Velociraptor they see in Hollywood movies is the most fearsome raptor, but actually, it was only the size of a turkey. Utahraptor was an altogether more terrifying animal. The fossil evidence reveals that it was fiercely smart, may have worked in a team, and was the size of a bear. The production team loved working with the scientists to tell this dramatic and at times heart-wrenching tale of a young dinosaur battling for survive against this ultimate adversary. Episode 4: The Pack. 71 million years ago we meet Rose, a teenage Albertosaurus, a faster, nimbler relative of T-Rex. In modern-day Alberta, A team of paleontologists led by Mark Powers is unearthing the remains of this teenage Albertosaurus and attempting to uncover the secrets of Rose's world. They find more bones belonging to multiple Albertosaurus, suggesting a mass grave where many individuals died together. Rose is a member of a fearsome Albertosaurus pack, a group that hunts together and forms strong bonds. Rose even has a mate. Together, the pack hunts the enormous herd animal, Edmontosaurus, the McDonald's of the Cretaceous, as paleontologist Henry Sharp puts it. As our story of Rose unfolds, we learn that volcanic eruptions have delayed the migrating Edmontosaurus, and Rose's pack will have to find food elsewhere. As we follow Rose's quest for food, our team on the ground at the dig site learn one final surprise. Paleontologist Colton Kopic has unearthed a tiny Albertosaurus jawbone, the youngest individual we have. Could the baby possibly have belonged to Rose? Albertosaurus, Rose a smaller, but just as deadly, relative of T-Rex. Albertosaurus were the speedsters of the dinosaur world. Young Albertosaurus were capable of reaching speeds of over 30 miles per hour, easily chasing down their prey. Scientists have found Albertosaurus buried in groups, suggesting these hunters worked in groups to tackle larger animals. Rose is a young Albertosaurus found in the Horseshoe Canyon Formation, Alberta, finding her place in her pack. A migration of Edmontosaurus draws close, and Rose will need to play her part to perfection to bring down one of these giants. Mark Powers, researcher at the Department Biological Sciences, University of Alberta, and Albertosaurus expert featured in this episode, said, Albertosaurus is the faster and sleeker cousin of T-Rex. What it lacks in size it makes up for in speed and cooperation. No tyrannosaur has been found in such big groups as Albertosaurus, making it the most likely to have lived, or at least hunted in coordinated group efforts. It is astonishing to see these animals brought to life like never before in what can only be described as the most accurate and lifelike restoration of this once apex predator. Episode 5: The Journey North. Based on an unprecedented discovery in Alberta, Canada, The Journey North tells the epic tale of one of the largest dinosaur herds that ever lived, the carcharodontosaurus, through the eyes of one of its youngest members, Albie. To find enough food to survive, this close relative of Triceratops must embark on a grueling 400-mile migration north across hostile wilderness. As multiple herds begin to merge along the route, swelling the herd's numbers into the tens of thousands. Tensions rise as the strongest bulls begin to battle for their pick of their mates. A violent confrontation leads Albie to become separated from his mother. Carcharodontosaurus, however, are thought to have had a remarkable way of finding each other. At the dig site, the team, led by Dr. Emily Bamforth, unearthed something each Carcharodontosaurus had: a horned, bony head frill. No two frills unearthed at the dig have been identical, and it's thought these unique frills may have allowed them to identify each other. Carcharodontosaurus, albeit closely related to Triceratops. Carcharodontosaurus did not have eyebrow horns, and instead had a thick slab of bone over its nose, known as a boss, used for combat between males. Every single Carcharodontosaurus discovered has had different horns on their bony headdress, known as a frill, almost like a fingerprint. Scientists believe this unique arrangement of horns on their frill was used by Carcharodontosaurus to identify each other in their giant herds, numbering in the thousands. Albie is a little juvenile Carcharodontosaurus, one of many found in the Wapiti Formation in Alberta, Canada. Every year, his herd makes an epic journey north as the seasons change. Along the way, he will encounter clashing bulls, tyrannosaur predators, and freak weather events. Dr. Emily Bamforth, paleontologist and curator at the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum in Alberta, Canada, said, "This episode is based on 50 years of research conducted at the Pipestone Creek Carcharodontosaurus bonebed in northwest Alberta. The Pipestone Creek bonebed, tucked away in Canada's mixed boreal forest, captures the moment when a herd of potentially thousands of Carcharodontosaurus, an enigmatic ceratopsian, horned dinosaur with a distinctive bulbous bump on the nose, was preserved in a single event. The bone bed provides an unparalleled opportunity for paleontologists to study growth, social structure, parental care, and behavior in a single community of dinosaur from a single point in time. The episode uses VFX and the integration of science in action to beautifully capture the immensity and scale of the bone bed, revealing the dramatic story of this dinosaur megaherd and the late Cretaceous world in which they lived. Episode 6 Island of Giants tells the tale of one of the largest dinosaurs ever to walk the Earth, a colossal, long-necked Lusotitan, known as Old Grande. Living 150 million years ago on an island called the Iberian Meseta, this titan dwarfs every other dinosaur in the region. His remains are being uncovered near Pombal, Portugal, by a team of paleontologists led by Professor Francisco Ortega, Dr. Elizabete Malafea and Dr. Pedro Mocho, as the most complete Lusotitan ever found. His bones allow the team to tell his story like never before. At 25 meters long, his intimidating size is only part of his story. His goal is to win over a female and secure his legacy. Lusotitan. Old Grande, a giant of the Jurassic, Lusotitan was 25 meters long and over 40 tons. Closely related to the iconic Brachiosaurus, this titan roamed ancient Portugal 150 million years ago, when Europe was a series of fragmented islands. Air sacs and hollow bones throughout its neck and spine helped Lusotitan to grow massive. Scientists have speculated that the large cavity in Lusotitan's skull, just past the nose, could have been used to inflate balloons of skin, like modern frigate birds. Old Grande was the largest Lusotitan ever found, being unearthed in the hill town of Pombal. In search of a mate, he would have to contend with other bull Lusotitans, hungry predatory Torvosaurus, and the rapidly changing seasons. Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 Q&A with series showrunner Kirsty Wilson. What can viewers expect to see from this series? What's different about this series of Walking with Dinosaurs compared to the original? 25 years ago, the BBC broadcast one of the most visually stunning and successful shows it has ever made. The VFX and animatronics in the first series of Walking with Dinosaurs was nothing like anyone had ever seen before. So, we knew we had to have the same innovative ambition when it came to this show. Although, to be honest, reimagining one of the most iconic and most loved BBC programs ever was a terrifying challenge. So, whilst the first series focused purely on the prehistoric world, we decided it was time to feature real dinosaur digs and base our VFX on the scientific evidence coming out of the ground today. This allowed us to tell the most amazing dinosaur stories. But also viewers will literally be able to see the scientific evidence these narratives were based on emerging from the dust for themselves. But perhaps our biggest twist is that each episode focuses not on a species in general but tells the tale of a single lead character dinosaur at one of the most dramatic points in their life. This is a series that will have you yelling for your dinosaur hero, rooting for them to find love, biting your nails as they face unimaginable obstacles, and on the edge of your seat as they battle for survival. Do you have any standout moments? There were so many it's hard to pick one. Being on the dig sites, capturing moments on camera where segments of dinosaur arm bones bigger than us emerged from the ground, or filming the remains of one of the largest herds on Earth to have ever existed, and knowing we were the first people to see them in over 65 million years ago, was staggering. Filming each and every one of our incredible dig sites was a real privilege. But then there were some really silly moments I will never forget. Like watching members of the production team stomping around, running or even swimming through rivers on location, head to toe in blue suits pretending to be dinosaurs. For the record, this wasn't what the team got up to in their downtime. We dress in head-to-toe blue, including full face masks, and walk about to create movement in the environment. As if we were dinosaurs brushing past ferns or creating ripples in the water, and then the VFX company can remove us from the shot later. The blue suit makes this a lot easier. I wasn't immune myself, running through the bushes in the rain pretending to be a baby Triceratops. But ultimately, when we saw our hero dinosaurs, characters we had been thinking of, writing about, looking at their bones for years, finally come to life on screen for the very first time, it was truly unforgettable and actually quite emotional. What was the biggest obstacle in production when making the show? Ensuring that we were telling exciting stories and doing our heroes justice, whilst being totally scientific accurate, was something we took very, very seriously. There were so many things we encountered that took us by surprise that we had to adjust to. I personally didn't realize grass hadn't evolved during the time of our dinosaurs. I've often joked that trying to find locations to set our dinosaurs in without modern grass was like asking to film on the moon. But our team did it. At every turn we consulted with expert after expert. We collated huge amounts of scientific data and checked it again. We monitored every step of our dinosaur creations, from the translucency of their eyelids to the look of their toenails. It was a never-ending challenge for the team to make sure we were as true to the science as humanly possible, but I'm very proud to say they did an amazing job. How have advances in science and technology informed the series? Both advances in science and technology have absolutely been at the heart of this series. Paleontology is an ever-evolving discipline, and new incredible things are being discovered about dinosaurs all the time. When the original Walking with Dinosaurs came out, we didn't know that dinosaurs had feathers or that they could have certain brightly colored patterns. This series reflects the very latest findings, and the team have worked tirelessly to reflect as accurately as possible these cutting-edge discoveries. The latest filming techniques and VFX methodologies were totally key to our approach. We used a huge range of the very best equipment, moving cranes through the Sahara Desert, or trekking hundreds of pounds of kit to the top of a mountain. We wanted this series to be a visual feast, and we wanted viewers to feel like they could be watching a natural history drama taking place today. So, ensuring we achieved that feel, whilst being as immersive as possible, was key. If you had to pick one, which would be your favorite dinosaur and why? Everyone always asks me what my favorite dinosaur is, and it's just not possible to answer. I have lived and breathed our 6 hero dinosaurs for 3 years. I always get asked, do they feel real to you? No, they don't feel real, they are real. These are real creatures. I've seen their very remains come out of the rock, and I know from the evidence that they lived real, beautiful and complex lives. So, sure, our big Lusotitan searching for love pulls at my heartstrings, and our slow lumbering armored dinosaurs make me chuckle, and baby Clover, our Triceratops, feels like such a lovable, plucky toddler. But no, I can't pick a favorite. The science behind the series, the non-avian dinosaurs ruled the Earth for a whopping 140 million years. In fact, they ruled for so long that the time gap between our oldest featured species, Lusotitan, and our youngest featured species, Triceratops, is over 80 million years, a full 14 million years longer than the gap between Triceratops and us. Birds are not just the descendants of dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs themselves. Specifically, theropod dinosaurs, the branch that includes giants such as T-Rex and Spinosaurus. Advancements in paleontology and paleobiology mean we know more about dinosaurs than ever before. In some cases, we have preserved skin, pigment, and even internal organs. This allows scientists to put together a more complete picture of what these animals were like in life. The pterosaur featured in the episode 1 about Triceratops is a newly named species in Infernodracon. Episode 1, featuring juvenile Triceratops clover, takes place in the famous Hell Creek Formation, one of the best-studied dinosaur fossil sites in the world. This locale is home to some of the most iconic dinosaurs, including Triceratops, Tyrannosaurus, Edmontosaurus and Ankylosaurus. Spinosaurus, featured in episode 2, is a notoriously mysterious dinosaur among paleontologists. A big part of this mystery came from the fact that the original Spinosaurus skeleton, discovered in 1912 in Egypt, was destroyed during an Allied bombing raid in World War II. In episode 3, Band of Brothers, featuring Gastonia, we see a forest fire tear through the home of our Gastonia gang. We know these were common occurrences thanks to the discovery of charcoal layers in the ground. The fossils of Gastonia were found to possess impressive spikes and spines all over. In life, these would have been over 25% larger due to a sheath of keratin, the same material that makes up our fingernails and hair, and even rhino horns. Utahraptor, featured in episode 3, is the largest of the raptor dinosaurs. While the majority of its cousins are speedy and small, Utahraptor took the opposite approach to hunting and grew big, powerful, and stocky. The species of Utahraptor discovered in this episode is likely a new species, living 20 million years apart from other known species of Utahraptor. Many dinosaurs are now known to have feathers. Our Albertosaurus in episode 4 is covered in fur-like feathers, something we can infer thanks to fossil evidence of related species preserving these details perfectly. The 9 meters long tyrannosaur from China, Eutyrannus, was found to have had a shaggy coat and is currently the largest feathered animal known. The Pachyrhinosaurus bone bed, featured in episode 5, is only part of a much bigger site. Scientists estimate the fossils continue underground for miles, meaning there are thousands upon thousands of dinosaurs still to be discovered. Every individual of Pachyrhinosaurus has a different horn orientation, almost like a fingerprint. There are 3 known species of Pachyrhinosaurus, each with a different horn arrangement. Our species is Pachyrhinosaurus lacusti and possesses a unique singular horn projecting from the center of its head, informally known as the unicorn horn. Lusotitan, which features in episode 6, Land of Giants, is one of the largest dinosaurs ever found in Europe. Like other brachiosaurid dinosaurs, it is thought that Lusotitan had a nasal resonating chamber in its head, potentially for making loud sounds or for inflatable display structures. The dramatic mountains featured at the start of episode 6 are a representation of an ancient, raised landform known as the Berlinga Horst. The remnants of this prehistoric formation can still be seen today, as the rocky archipelago off the coast of Portugal known as the Berlengas. Based on the footprints found in the Kem, this unnamed titanosaur species may have been one of the largest animals to walk the earth, coming in at an estimated size of 35 meters, a full 5 meters longer than the longest blue whale. The making of the creation of the VFX dinosaurs was a heavily involved process. Starting with a rigorous and detailed brief document, the VFX team built up the skeleton, musculature, and finally the skin, and occasionally feathering, of the animals. From start to finish, the creatures took around 2.5 years to create. During the filming of the paleontological dig for Albertosaurus in episode 4, the scientists on the ground discovered a pterosaur bone. This was hugely exciting for the team, as pterosaur bones are notoriously fragile and rarely found. To create a beach giant ammonite featured in episode 4, the team ordered a set of custom-made 4-foot-long silicone tentacles which were then placed on the beach. The team then scattered sand, seaweed, and other debris to match images of beach giant squids in the modern day. The Canadian paleontologists digging the Pipestone Creek bone bed discover from 100 to 300 bones per year. But it had been almost 2 decades since a skull was found. Shortly after filming for the Walking with Dinosaurs episode was completed, the paleontologists discovered a skull. It was nicknamed Big Sam after a member of the BBC Studios team. To simulate a tiny Triceratops running through the dense undergrowth, our team used a bright blue blow-up exercise ball tied to a rope, which was then dragged through the ferns. Using VFX, the ball was later replaced with our little baby Triceratops. To create the ominous footprints of the stalking Utahraptor in episode 3, the team made plaster replicas of the soles of the animal's feet. These were based on brilliantly preserved footprints found in China, which show the trackway of a raptor of a similar size and build to ours. These trackways show two-toed footprints, the telltale sign of a raptor's killing claw, always held high off the ground. In episode 2, to accurately simulate the interactions between our VFX Spinosaurus and the water it swam in, our team commissioned a bright blue, 8 kilograms and nearly 2 meter long, 3D printed head to dunk into the river. Our director then got in his wetsuit and pushed it along. Despite being about an entirely different species, the episode Island of Giants featuring Lusotitan takes inspiration from moments of the Cruel Seas episode of the original 1999 Walking with Dinosaurs. Keen-eyed viewers may notice some parallels: a beached pliosaur, 2 predators squabbling over a carcass, and most obviously, the island setting of Jurassic Europe.
Okay, now that you heard that, let's talk about some of the good things. Well, not some of the good things. Actually, I think most of the things about it were absolutely amazing. But just some of the new species. First thing, they mentioned that the Utahraptor in the episode might actually represent a new species of Utahraptor, which is pretty interesting. I believe it's undescribed, but it is still a new species of Utahraptor since it may have lived a few million years before the one that is already known. So that could be pretty interesting to see published. Next one, Infernodraken, again, is confirmed in this article. Again, I apologize. Yes, it is Infernodraken. Next, we have... Basically, Torvosaurus is confirmed. And the Lusotitan episode is basically saying that you're going to have to, deal with many different threats and things from its ecosystem. And Torvosaurus is one thing mentioned. So, we're going to get to see Torvosaurus, and I really hope that... Okay, if they reveal Torvosaurus, which, again, this could be the alternate species, I hope that they don't really spoil it too much either. Okay, if Torvosaurus is one of the... I hope that there's a ton of new species that they just don't show, and that they're just not going to show. And if there isn't too many new species, then I hope they don't even reveal Torvosaurus and just have a seed in the series. I hope that there's also a bunch of other dinosaurs and prehistoric animals we just don't see in the trailers, because I think these trailers have been good at showing a lot, but still keeping things hidden. Like the Albertosaurus was technically shown in the trailer, but it was shown in a way in which you couldn't even tell that it was not Pachyrhinosaurus or anything. And I hope there's a bunch of other creatures in this documentary that we just don't know about yet. So yeah, Torvosaurus is going to appear here, and it's going to be interesting to see the European species of Torvosaurus. Again, we don't have any images, so I'm just using the prehistoric kingdom Torvosaurus. Next, the Titanosaur from Africa in the Kimkim beds. I assumed was Paralotitan, since... it's Paralotitan, correct, but I think, Paralotitan is a large titanosaur from Africa, and I assumed that this was Paralotitan. It looked very similar to it, and it was like the only thing that could fit it. Turns out from this article, it's not Paralotitan, but it's also not any described sauropod. It's an undescribed titanosaur from there that they say is absolutely massive, possibly one of the largest dinosaurs, and probably was longer than a blue whale. So that is interesting to see. I would love to see this guy get published, and hope he gets a pretty nice name. But, that's pretty interesting. We have this, this documentary is kind of being made as new discoveries are being made. So a lot of things in this documentary have not been described yet, or are just described. And another thing, kind of random one I throw in here, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later on. I didn't really make any slides of new species that could possibly appear in these episodes that we don't know about yet. And in this one, I wonder if we're going to see Tamaryraptor, because it was technically described before Infernodraken, though I don't know if they had any insight on Tamaryraptor, because, again, I think they had, basically just had some insight on the other things. I don't know if they would have known about Tamaryraptor during the production of this series. Sorry about that. So it would be cool to see Tamaraptor alongside Carcharodontosaurus. But anyways, next one, they do mention that in the prop section in the episode, the Lucititan episode actually no, not the Lucititan episode, actually in the Albertosaurus episode, that they had a prop of a giant ammonite, and then they bought some squid and put it inside of it kind of as a practical effect. I mean, a practical piece, one of the very few of them. And that's basically confirms we're going to see ammonites. And I think instead of doing a marine episode and a pterosaur episode, this series is just going to go for the option of just featuring marine reptiles and pterosaurs throughout the episodes way more, which I think could work. Again, this still doesn't feel like Walking with Dinosaurs. I think that this does feel like just like a different, really cool dinosaur documentary. But yeah, that's one of the new creatures kind of confirmed. We got ammonite. And then we have a giant pliosaur. I couldn't really find anything. Please comment down below if you know of any that fit this description. But they do mention in the Jurassic Portugal episode that there is going to be a scene with a giant pliosaur being beached. And I don't know if this is supposed to be one that's just not described yet, one that's just a kind of just a random species that's kind of thrown there, or if it's a legitimate pliosaur that is already described that lived there. I couldn't really find anything, though I don't think I did too crazy of a look trying to find it. So who knows if this is like a described one or anything. Comment down below again if you can't find it. And again, they're going to this could also be the creature, kind of alternate creature they follow, which I think I would prefer them to follow this guy instead of the Torvosaurus, though I still want to see Torvosaurus heavily featured. Anyways, next, again, they did mention that cruelty. They actually confirmed, too, that one of the things is that they're going to have a small theropod, or at least a bunch of small theropods, scavenging off of the giant pliosaur. And, of course, these could be different theropods, or they could be the same theropod. And these are basically all of the options. First thing, we have the European species of Allosaurus, which I would, is the smallest species of Allosaurus, if at least from what I can find. At least I think so, and it is, I guess, would be considered a smaller theropod. Next, we have Ceratosaurus as an option. Then we have Lucovinator, or Lucovinator, which is I believe a small carcharodontosaurus from there. Not going to even try to pronounce that next one. And then we have Megalosaurus and Avatyrannus. Which one do you think is going to be the small theropod? I didn't put Torvosaurus on here mainly because Torvosaurus is, I would consider, a larger theropod, definitely a large one. So I think this could definitely be a different theropod. I guess it could be juvenile Torvosaurus, but wonder if it could be an adult one. Out of these ones, which one do you think it is? I think that it could. Okay, I'm guessing it's either a Lucovinator because I think it's just more unique, and it's also like I think they would like to include more Carcharodontosaurus. It could be Allosaurus, since again this would be the only chance they could really feature Allosaurus. Ceratosaurus because it's popular and also didn't appear in the original series, and Avatyrannus just because we have two other Tyrannosaurs in the series and they might want something that's foreshadowing. Even though now that I think about that, that wouldn't really matter or make sense since the Jurassic episode is literally the last episode, while the T-Rex episode is the first one, and the Albertosaurus is like right in the middle. So yeah, I guess it wouldn't really matter for foreshadowing. But yeah, those are my bets. What are yours? So yeah, now again, this is just where I wanted to talk about. Like, first thing, I think each episode was confirmed to be 60 to 45 minutes. I can't it's either 45 minutes or 60 minutes. I think I saw them from two different sources, but I think 45 minutes is how long each episode will be, which is really interesting. I can't remember how long each Walking with Dinosaurs episode was, but it's pretty interesting to see these ones be. I think these ones are longer. So, yeah. Anyways, also, they are going to be cutting back and forth between paleontology segments and actual dinosaur segments, so it'll probably be about the same length as the original series if you take out all of the paleontology segments. I am kind of worried for the show's pacing just because Life on Our Planet did a cutting back and forth between things, except Life on Our Planet made no sense because over half of it was like a regular nature documentary, and then they just had prehistoric creatures kind of thrown in between those. Well, this one actually seems like they're actually, at least in the modern day segments, are actually showing paleontology and actual like fossil digs and actually showing the specimens and evidence behind what they're doing. I don't know. On one hand, I'm kind of hoping these segments are shorter, kind of like when dinosaurs roamed America. But at the same time, I could definitely see them being a bit longer and being pretty interesting that way. Honestly, I'm just really worried for the pacing. Hope that they're able to pace it well. Anyways, for the actual episodes again, pretty much I'm going to go back some real fast to the episodes. The orphan, what species I think are missing? Like, we could possibly see Dakotaraptor. They might not because, again, we're already getting Utahraptor, though maybe they could reuse its model for Dakotaraptor. We could also see Torosaurus, which is one I definitely want to see. Ankylosaurus, which I think I want to see even more than Torosaurus. I love Torosaurus, but Ankylosaurus would be a bit more unique for the segment. Pachycephalosaurus would be pretty cool to see, and maybe the other possible junior synonyms. Maybe like Thyrecosaurus, if I remember correctly, lived there, so that would be pretty cool. I know there's some other smaller Dromaeosaurs and Albertosaurus from there. Honestly, I know a lot of people would probably want to see Onzu, so that'd be pretty cool to see Onzu. Also, I know we're getting Inferno Draken, but I wonder if we're going to get Quetzalcoatlus. Kind of doubt it, but it could be cool. Also, maybe we could see Mosasaurus, though. Again, another one. This one doesn't really take by the ocean. A few other episodes are taking place kind of by the ocean, and I think there's more likely for marine reptiles to appear there. So, yeah, those are just a few things I think could appear in this episode. Okay, the river dragon. Honestly, I know they're going to be focusing on other carnivores. We only have Spinosaurus and carcharodontosaurus. Maybe we could also get like I think Cryptops lived there. So yeah, Cryptops possibly. We could also be getting, I think Suchomimus probably, I don't know, I know Suchomimus lived in Kimkimbej, but I believe it coexisted with these guys. We could possibly see Spinosaurus as possible, Cinnamon, Signomastosaurus. We could see Masonia, I think it is the giant coelacanth. I know we're getting Onchopristis, which I'm really happy to see that a bit back again, but maybe we could also see Masonia. We could see, several other carnivores, of course, like Tamaryraptor, again, one that was mentioned. We're probably not going to see Sarcosuchus, since Sarcosuchus died out by the time I believe this episode's taking place. We're also, I guess we could still see Paralotitan, though I feel like it'd be more likely that they'd have the new Titanosaur, and then instead, which I wonder if it'll be described by the time the series comes out. It'd be kind of interesting. Anyways, I could also see them having, I know there's several pterosaurs, I think, as Darko, or not, maybe, no, Elanqua is from here, if I remember correctly, so that'd be cool to see. And I think there is also, I would like to see some marine reptiles, like I believe Leptoclidus lives here. I would like to see like the Plesiosaurs. That would be really cool to see, and some other marine reptiles, and like Stomatosuchus. So an actual aquatic creature would be cool to see. I think Ouranosaurus went extinct by this time. Rabachisaurus, that's the other creature I wanted to say. A different type of sauropod. I think it'd be pretty cool to see that. I don't know if Nigersaurus lived at this time. And also, I would love to see Eocarcharia. Please make the colored reference to Dinosaur King if they do include Eocarcharia. It'd be cool if they included a bunch of different obscure creatures that like only appeared in Dinosaur King. Eocarcharia could be one of them. I guess Soranops I think lives here too, but that's kind of questionable. And I think Eocarcharia is at least slight. Like Eocarcharia is very fragmentary, but I think it's more it has more fossils than Soranops. So yeah. Anyways. Band of Brothers. Okay, this one's a bit tricky. I believe Seats lived at the right time, so it could appear this episode, but Acrocanthosaurus may have been, I can't remember if Acrocanthosaurus, I think Acrocanthosaurus actually lived after the setting of this episode. Please correct me if this is wrong. The Cedar Mountain Formation existed for a long time, and not all the creatures coexisted with each other. I've made that mistake in the past. Don't want to do that again. But I think Seats appeared here. They might not put Seats, and they may want to focus on Utahraptor. But I know there's, I know Morris and Trepidus is from here, so maybe, again, they could have that as a foreshadowing towards the other episodes, since this episode actually does happen. This episode they actually do have set, well, not set, but they actually have this episode before some of the others, so we could definitely see sorry if I'm losing my words, I've been talking for quite a while, but, yeah, Morris and Trepidus, I believe Falcarius is from here. There's, again, I would have to really look it up, but I know there's several ones from the Cedar Mountain Formation. But, I think I actually kind of want to see Seats again. And also Astrodon and Sauroposeidon, I believe, are here. Maybe they could make brief cameos. Now, the pack is going to be a big issue because I really am not familiar with the, please be forgiving with what species I say here, since I know some from around a similar time and from a similar region, though I'm not 100% sure of everything in the exact formation in which this episode takes place. I know Parasaurolophus. I don't think Parasaurolophus is known specifically from the same exact time and place, but I know it's either Parasaurolophus or Saurolophus, I believe. I think Hadrosaurus as well, and Brachylophosaurus possibly, are all from like a similar time and place. Also, I'm not going to even cover the Pachyrhinosaurus episode. These are both, I'm going to do them both at the same time since they take place in the same time and place. We're also, so those are some Hadrosaurs that could appear. Again, we already have Edmontosaurus, so maybe not. We could also see some Ankylosaurus. I really want to see Edmontonia. If they had a feature in Ankylosaur, please let it be Edmontonia. But they could also feature Anodontosaurus, I believe, lived here. And there's probably some other ones as well. There's some Dromaeosaurs, like a Triceratops, I believe, is from here. Dromaeosaurus, I think, is from here. Some other ones, again, that I cannot remember the name of, also lived here. I don't know, I'm not too familiar with the marine life, but there is going to be a marine segment. The only one I can think of is Albertosaurus, which I believe did live in a similar area, if I remember correctly. Again, I'm not too familiar with this. We could possibly see some sort of Mosasaur, which I'm not 100% sure there's any known from here. And, yeah, I know I don't know if there's any named as Darkids except maybe Crowdragon, which I don't know if that lived in the right time or place. Displetosaurus and Gorgosaurus, again, also same issue, don't really know if they're from here. Same for, I feel like I had another one, can't really remember it. Yeah, there's a lot of things. They really need to, especially in the Pachyrhinosaurus episode, include way more species. The Albertosaurus episode I do think also still needs some more, but the Pachyrhinosaurus episode still feels like a bit of a waste. Maybe Nanucosaurus though, and I think Teratophoneus might have lived here. I think I might be wrong about that one. But yeah, Nanucosaurus if they go far enough north. Now, for Island of Giants, there are so many things. There's Miragaia and Dinosaurs, which I hope they go with Dinosaurs since technically, first thing, I think it would be safer for them to go with Dinosaurs because even if Miragaia becomes synonymous with Dinosaurs, then they won't have that issue if they just go with Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs is also bigger, and also Dinosaurs are just my favorite Stegosaurs, so I would love to see Dinosaurs in here. I know there's several. I already mentioned all the theropods. We're not going to do that, but I know there's I can't remember that. I think it's something that starts with a D. Some sort of sauropod starts with the letter D, and it might be synonymous with Supersaurus, but that thing's going to that could definitely appear here. And then I know there's some other dinosaurs that appear, which again I'm not very familiar. I believe the species of Stegosaurus is known from nearby, and also again I wasn't able to find much on this formation. I watched my reread. I'll link that in the description as well, and I know I kept this formation in there, so I did actually do a way better breakdown in there. Anyways, that is pretty much it. Those are all the species. What is your opinion on the new Walking with Dinosaurs series? Personally, I don't think it's going to be Walking with Dinosaurs. I think they just put the name on there just because that name's popular. But I still think this is going to be a great dinosaur documentary. One of the best pieces of dinosaur media this year, and I absolutely cannot wait for the series to release. Anyways, what's your favorite episode? What's your favorite dinosaur? If you could replace a certain episode, or really any episode, with a episode set in what place would that be, and what episode would you replace? AKA, what episode would you like, what formation would you like to have in a new episode, and what, basically what I'm trying to say is, what episode do you want to replace the Pachyrhinosaurus episode? So, yeah, anyways, is there any creatures that have not been revealed yet that you want to see in the series? What would you want from a season 2 if they did a season 2? I don't know if they are planning on doing a season 2 at any point, but if they do a season 2, what dinosaurs would you like to see in it? And generally, just what's your opinion on the series so far? Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye!